Thank you very much for coming out today. The number one thing I would do would be a co-sponsor of the fair tax. That would be the first thing I would do upon being sworn in. Sign my name to the fair tax. Next, my philosophy is that the more stuff that goes away from Washington and comes back down to the state level, the better off we are. That is our constitutional model. So a lot of my philosophy is to go into Washington and see how much stuff we can get out of Washington. And so I am a big proponent of the military, so I would still be a big sponsor of the military while I'm serving as your congressman. Also, I would make a push to try. One of my biggest platforms is I'm pro-life, and I would make a push to try to get Washington out of our way on that issue, because it's not a federal issue. And so I am a constitutionalist, and I want things to come back down to our local level. Because the more local things are to us, the more availability you have to put your values into that equation.
Thank you. The second question is on the bill review. What do you say to people who are angry that congressmen often do not read the bills they are voting on?
Well, I say it's time to fire your congressman. I was at the town hall meeting in Bryan on Wednesday with Chet Edwards. Chet Edwards admitted he had not read this health care bill that's before us today, and he admitted he did not read the stimulus package before voting for it. He said he would read the health care bill, not because it's his job, but because you apparently want him to. And so, there is a rising level of anger here at government in general, and that's part of that professional politician status where we've got these people who think that they are your boss and not the other way around. And so Washington said that a government when the government fears you, you have freedom. When you fear the government, you have tyranny. And I don't know if you've seen Chet Edwards at these town hall meetings. The man is scared. He's scared of you. He should be. That's the first part of us getting our freedom back, is to teach our congressmen a lesson that they do have constitutional limits. And there are enumerated powers. Chet said on this health care bill, he said that the Interstate Commerce Clause is why they can pass that. Well, the Interstate Commerce Clause, 9 times out of 10, is socialist for the enumerated powers don't apply to us. It's time to have a congressman that understands the constitutional limits put on that role.
The third question is health care. What part of the American health care system needs reform, and do you support guaranteed health care for every American?
Well, I'm a registered nurse. This is what I do for a living every day. But now, let me answer the second part first. The difference between this progressive socialist idea and the difference between free market, capitalist, conservative idea is a question of equality. Conservatives believe in equality of opportunity, and socialists believe in equality of outcome. And so that's the answer to this question. I believe that everybody should have an equal opportunity to have access to health care. Now, how we're going to do that is to get the government out of the equation. We are the greatest nation in the world because we have constitutional limits on what our government can do. I'll give you an example. We deregulated the telephone industry in 1983. And now look, you have a cell phone in your pocket with all kinds of different platforms, all kinds of different plans, and the poorest American among us has a cell phone plan because the market reached out to find a niche in every niche available. If you want to get the poorest Americans to have access to health care, the way to do that is to get the government out of the way. So Chet Edwards is going around saying we need more competition. In order to do that, we need a whole new layer of government bureaucracy. A whole new layer of government bureaucracy is not competition. I see this every day. Medicaid and Medicare take up almost half of all health care dollars. Employer-sponsored insurance with government subsidies and government strings takes up the rest. The government already controls almost every dollar in health care. They control all these dollars in health care, but needless and endless regulations and burdens on us, and then they say the free market has failed us. The free market has not failed us. Government has failed us.
Thank you very much. The fourth question involves around the Constitution. What will you do if you believe a piece of legislation is outside the powers granted specifically to Congress by the U.S. Constitution?
Well, the obvious answer is I'd vote against it. I'm sure everybody said that, but now let me drive this point home. I'm a constitutional purist. That's who I am as a candidate. I believe the Constitution means something, and I believe that because of the Constitution, We had 150 years of phenomenal growth and overtook every other nation in the world, and I believe we've been coasting because we've ignored our constitutional values and our constitutional roles. This government is so far outside its constitutional box, they don't even feel like they have to justify that to you anymore. It's time to get back to our constitutional roles. And that's who I am as a candidate. So will I vote for anything constitutional? Absolutely not. If you want me to go to Washington to do this, and this for you, I'm probably the wrong candidate. If you want someone to go to Washington and tell them, no, heck no, we've had enough, I'm the right candidate.
Thank you. Thank you. Your last question is on term limits. What is your position on setting term limits for U.S. representatives and senators?
I will be a supporter of term limits. I have some reservations about it, but I completely support the goals of term limits, and that is that we need citizen legislators and we need to turn Congress every once in a while. I do believe you have that power at your fingertips now to fire your congressman, and I think that you should do that next November, in November 2010. Now, even though I have reservations that it will accomplish those goals, I will be a supporter of term limits because the people in this district have overwhelmingly told me that they are a supporter of term limits. And unlike Chet Edwards, I'm out here listening to what you guys have to say.
Well, thank you very much, Timothy. Appreciate it very much. Take a bottle of water and make yourself at home. Thank you.